In this video, we begin touch-up paint on the Silver Swine. Stay tuned. Okay, before we get into it, I gotta do all the plugging and info stuff here. If you haven't get a chance, go check out the video where I do the fixes on the interior. Obviously this one I cannot fix, I tried it. But there is something important that you need to know in that video if you own a Dodge Ram 1500 and you are subscribed to the channel. Please go check out that video where I give you the information to get a free leveling kit. And it is first come, first served. So the first person who gives me the correct answer will get that leveling kit. So go ahead, check out that video, and then come back for this important one. Let's get into our video. Before we begin today's video, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. If you're on Rumble, please hit that Rumble button, hit the follow or subscribe button, and all social media links are listed in the description down below. Let's get back into today's video. Welcome back and/or to the channel. Today we are doing some simple touch-ups that in some cases aren't so simple. So what we need to do is pretty much mix up our touch-up paint here. So I'm just going to shake this. Once we get this mixed up, we should be able to get the touch-ups going. Now this does come with a pencil tool. This pencil tool is actually a sander, and it's designed to sand and prep the surface for the touch-up paint. Not a lot of people know that, and a lot of people skip that step. And it's an important step that you do not want to skip. Now it does have a pen tool. I don't like using the pen tool because oftentimes it doesn't work very well. So oftentimes you can twist it and there'll be a brush tool on the inside. And the brush tool is much, much better to use. It allows you to flow paint into really deep scratches. So I usually tend to use the brush tool more. Now this stuff will dry out over time and it will thicken up over time. From the time you first open it, you want it to thicken a little bit, but not a lot. So we're gonna zoom in on one of the worst scratches on this truck. This scratch just bugs me so bad that I have to fix it. So this is gonna be the first one. I'm also gonna show some hood and then some tailgate scratches just because those are a lot easier to show. I'm not gonna show every scratch on the truck. I'd be here all day. But I'm gonna focus on the main ones that are easy to see, ones that may be difficult to touch up so that you have kind of the knowledge and experience to do it. That's what this video is for. All right, one nasty one that bugs my eye every time is this bad boy right here. I can see it from a long ways away, and I know it's hard for you to see it in camera until right there. Now, I see this one almost everywhere I go, and it really does bug me. Now, silver is the worst color to touch up. I'm going to tell you that right now. This color is an absolute bear to touch up. Without it being the perfect color, you will see a silver touch-up a long ways away. Okay, because this stuff is so thin, I'm going to have to just do light touch-ups and then come back. So I'm going to continue on here doing the touch-ups that I need to do. And then I'll come back. So what I'm focusing on is some of the door dings, scratches, and nicks that need to be touched up. And there's a lot along the edge that needs to be touched up, so I'm doing the edge right now. This edge is kind of a more difficult one to do. Edit. So door edges are a little tricky. Just kind of start high, work your way down the door edge, adding in paint filler as you go. Oftentimes, if a truck was in a large city, like this one was, your door edge is going to be really rubbed off. There's going to be a lot of bang marks on it from somebody hitting a vehicle next to you. So there's going to be a lot to touch up along this door edge. And you want to get to it and not ignore it, because it can cause rust if you don't get it touched up. Back here we have a couple of door dings. So what I'm trying to do is just fill in the door ding scratches, a little bit of touch up. Sometimes you notice that if you brush it a certain way, the metallics lay better. And if you do notice that, then you may have to change your brush stroke so that you can change how the metallics lay. A little bit more difficult doing it that way, but that's the hard part of silver, is silver tends to do that to where the metallic may not catch your eye right, so you have to brush it a different way. Okay, on black plastic, we're going to zoom back while that front one is still kind of drying a bit. Black plastic is a little bit more difficult because it tends to not cover as well. So I do have a little spot right here that I have to touch up. I don't know how well that shows on camera, but touching up black plastic is really difficult. You need to have very good control of your paint, and you need to go slow to kind of flood the paint in to kind of cover up the scratch. without making it run. And you will need to do multiple coats if you have a scratch like that. It's not one coat is just going to cover. Back here is a prime example of how you got to kind of flood that color in, and it will take multiple coats in order to get that to flood in there, because it will have to dry and set up before you can come back in and put in another coat. Oftentimes when you're doing touch-ups, this many touch-ups on a vehicle, you're going to do like a rotation. You're going to work your way around the vehicle. This is kind of what I'm doing now. You see me kind of working my way around. I'm trying to get paint into where I need it. There are some that are going to be clear coat scratches, and I'm just going to put clear coat on, or I'm going to try to buff out. And then if I have to, I'll come back and do touch-ups, but not all of them are going to be a color touch-up. A lot of these are actually just a clear coat buff, and there's no color needed to be laid into them. Some of them are really bad, like this one here is pretty visible. Okay, so obviously there's some pretty decent scratching going on here, so it's going to take a bit to fill these in. Maybe a couple of coats there. There is like a rub mark, and what I might do is just grab my general purpose adhesive remover, see if I can wipe this one off before I try to throw any touch-up in it. So on ones that are really bad, like I said, you're going to go back, you're going to do touch-ups again. So we're going to go ahead and move in and try to tackle this scratch now a little bit more. Now that the paint's had a little bit of time to tack up, hopefully I can carefully lay some more down in there, let that tack up again, and then Like I said, some of these are just going to be a buff out. I'm not going to get too concerned with trying to get everything perfect. And then if I think there's some that are pretty deep as far as needing a clear coat, I'm going to go ahead and hit the clear coat before I do the buffing. Okay, this door is looking a lot better. I still see the scratch here, and I do need to do a couple more coats to kind of bring that kind of almost up to level. And then we're gonna have to throw probably a little coat of clear on it so that that hardens up. That way when I buff it, it's not gonna buff away the touch-up paint. Some of these I want them to buff it away just so that it smooths out the finish. It'll clear it up a little bit, clean it up. I got one more black plastic touch-up I want to show you. This one's in kind of a very visible spot. This one is really, really nasty. So this is a nasty gouge. And what I'm doing is just taking my time and just laying paint in it. Like I said, I'm going to have to let this tack up just like I did with the other black plastics. When that tacks up, I can come back and do another coat. Now it's on the hood touch-ups. I'm going to try to pick the ones that are most visible to you guys on camera. I'm not going to focus on the ones that are hard to see because that's not going to really work too well. So when doing hoods, you want to do a dab technique where you just dab it into the rock chip. Big ugly ones like this, you almost want to just slowly work your way around the edge just to kind of seal off that edge a little bit. And you're still kind of using the dab technique. Now at first the dab technique looks like it's putting too much in, but as you buff, you're going to buff it flat, so you don't have to worry too much about it's sticking up, because you're actually going to kind of buff everything smooth at that point. And it may not fill in all the way. You may have to go back and do a second coat. And as you do these and walk around, you're going to notice that it gets harder and harder to see them. That's when you know that you're really getting good at getting them all touched up, and you know that you don't need to worry about it, because the more you touch them up, the harder they are to see. I mean, this side of the vehicle already looks so much better with just touching up the nicks that were not only in that rear quarter, but in the box side. There's a little bit of blending that I have to do, and some of that will be done with buffing. But once you blend those out, it really does make a difference to the overall appearance of the truck. Some of these are up on this upper ledge up here. Now I know I'm going to be doing a bed liner. That's one future upcoming video, but until I get that done, I really want to get these covered up so I don't get rust in there. So we have one that has a dent, and then we have a scratch up along our rail. This one's scratch is pretty easy. I just do like a guide coat that follows the scratch and let it fill in with the brush. Where I've got the dent, I'm trying to do a dab, but I had a little too much on my brush from too far away. Okay. So I'm going to let the dab tack up before I do any more there. Okay, so that's the touch-up process that you're going to do with your truck or car. Once you've actually cleaned it with the general purpose adhesive mover, wiped it with the glass cleaner, like we did in the last video. If I get a chance, I'm going to go ahead and slide that in the tag up above. Those are two very important videos to know how to prep your paint for the step we just did. You're going to need to know that in order to get the best look out of your paint that you possibly can when you go to do your touch-ups. Touch-ups are very slow and time-consuming. You have to do multiple rounds around the vehicle, go slow, let it cure up, add a second coat if you need to, add a third coat. This one on the door is going to take quite a few coats to make it completely disappear. It looks a lot better than what it is right now, but we're already on our second coat. It's going to need probably 3 or 4 more coats to get it to where it's going to look halfway decent, and then I might have to throw some clear in it to bring it kind of up to the rest of the paint. But really, this is a very simple process. Anyone can do it in their garage. I would suggest doing it in a garage and not outside though. You'd want to keep dust off the vehicle during this process. When you wipe it and prep it, you want to make sure that it's clean before you hit it with any of the touch-ups, with any of the waxes. You don't want dirt and contaminants to get in between there and actually cause that to break free from the surface. That's why we prepped it with the materials that we did, to prepare it for the touch-up paint. But I'd like to say thank you for watching. Please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, check out the Discord, and I'll see you in the next one.